Hey folks, thanks so much for joining us. We were expecting quite a crowd, and I'm really happy to see all of you here. I'm Shekhar. I'm very excited to walk you through some of the ideas we have today. We've tried to keep it extremely genuine, and I was actually formatting this document before we started the call, and I thought, hey, you know what? I really hope people are able to walk away with something that they can use instantly. The whole thought process behind picking this blueprint idea was it was going to be a last webinar for the year. So that's of course one we've consistently done one every month. So pat on the back to ourselves, and thanks so much to my own team. I think all of the legwork is actually the team. I just come here and just give like a 1 hour spiel about things, but really speaking, I think we've managed to kind of get that done. And I give the credit of being able to do that to having a plan. It's extremely important to execute, of course, and I'm going to talk a lot about that. But I really hope all of you are putting together an exciting and ambitious plan for the coming year. But I will also caution you that the ambitiousness of your plan is often directly proportional to the disappointment you see or feel right around March, because that's when you realize, hey, I don't think I'll triple my business in the first 6 months of the year. But I really hope you do. I really hope that 2024 works out for all of you amazingly. I think, especially for people who've been in markets that have not been that great in 2023, I hope that turns around. Credit card spending numbers look amazing in the US, especially. I think the Fed has agreed to start cutting interest rates as early as next quarter. So a lot of positive signals, markets rallying. I think there's a lot of good things. But what we wanted to do is talk about 20 to 25 interesting ideas that I said you could immediately kind of take away with you and try and implement. I will talk about three key areas, thinking long term, stuff that you think your business might or might not need, but I'm going to probably throw some light on why you might not want to overlook some of the stuff that I'll talk about. Second, we'll talk about customer experiences. Although I know everybody wants to deliver the best, but maybe I'm able to give you some ideas on how to do that. And the last one is emails. Now, emails is the one that you might think is not that important, or you might not want to kind of, spend too much time on it. But let me assure you that it is the most underrated channel to drive business. And I'm going to walk you through some ideas which will probably change the way you look at your own emails, change the way you're doing emails today. Okay. So I don't want to kind of spend too much time talking about the context. I hope you understand where we're coming from. And I'm going to jump right in because I have 25 things to talk about. So I hope to take a minute to a minute and a half for each one of those and try and gift back some of your time to you. That was what the plan was. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Can somebody say hi in the chat so that we know that chat is working for everyone? Because the last time I figured out halfway through the webinar that chat really wasn't working. Hey, Jody, thank you so much. So yeah, we know that chat's working. If you have questions, put them there. If they are about what I'm talking about, I'll try and take them there and there. Otherwise, we'll do a Q&A at the end, and I'm happy to answer questions that could be as specific as you want them to be, as specific to your business, to your problems. Let's jump in. So the first thing we want to talk about is thinking long term. Now, the whole idea here is, like, for example, for ConvertCard, we are putting together an AOP, an annual operating plan. So these are some things that we feel you can possibly add to your strategy. The first one is actually really obvious. I won't spend too much time on this. Fast format delivery. Amazon has spoiled your customers already. I think you already know that. I don't think I've never picked the fastest way to get my order delivered on Amazon ever. And hey, Rolf, thanks so much. I think so. Each time you're chatting, try and pick the everyone option so that people can see what's really happening. Yeah. Um, I think this is very simple. Delivery options bring in more influence. So if you don't already have it, integrate a more expensive delivery option. Your customers are more than willing to pay for it. And you please don't think that you'll have to end up paying for it. Pass that cost on to the customer. People who want that luxury will be more than happy to take it. You would be surprised how much that happens. In fact, if you're a brand that is selling on your own website as well as selling on Amazon, your customers might be buying from Amazon because of fulfillment. So you might want to have a faster delivery option here. Even if you want to charge that $10 or $15 extra, it's completely okay. Let that money go to the provider and then slowly kind of scale from there. But this is kind of a really obvious one. This is non-negotiable. I think every brand should have a fast delivery, especially to metros and to areas where they know their order volume is coming from. The next one is actually direct selling. I'm going to give you an unconventional idea. Of course, the Facebook and Instagram marketplace, shopping inside of Instagram is slowly picking up. What we've also seen is the conversion rate for something like this is high. Now, see, this is an unconventional idea. The reason I say that is it doesn't benefit us in any way. So this is not a webinar to plug convert card services and to try and sell you stuff. We just want to give you some genuine advice. So because it's the end of the year, it's the holiday period. So we just want to make sure we're really genuine with the ideas we'll give you. What we have seen is, of course, the obvious statement I'm going to make first is trust is everything. It's everything that you're going to ever do. I was in fact looking at a very, a study that I think it was Penn State University that did that, and it was a comparison of Apple versus Samsung and why people who preferred these brands, who were like passionate about these brands, why were they passionate? And they did MRIs of actual customers and they kind of, all of the geeky stuff. And what they found is that people who were purchasing Apple felt extremely strongly about Apple. They were advocates. They thought it's the best phone that they could ever buy. Whereas people who were, so, every time Apple would come up, every time they would see the brand or interact with it, they would have a very positive correlation in their mind with the brand. Whereas for people with Samsung, when they saw Samsung as a brand, they had no positive correlation, neither did they have any negative correlation. But when those Samsung people were shown Apple, they actually had a negative correlation. So really speaking, people who buy Samsungs because they hate Apple. There's an actual study that said that. But there's an underlying layer to that entire story, which is trust. It's you always buy things you trust, and the moment that trust goes away, you'll stop buying them. So I'm a recent convert. I was using Samsung for the longest time. I switched to Apple. I'm happy. I highly recommend everyone to do that. But apart from that, when people buy directly from you from social media profiles, like in this case, it's Rebecca Minkoff, who's the founder of the brand. She's selling it from her own profile. You're buying from an actual person. There's somebody standing behind the product. If you're a founder and you're not active on social media, do it in 2024. You only need two things. You need to be consistent and you need to be on brand. That's it. Results will automatically follow. I promise you. Do a good job with pictures, quality of pictures, and you don't need an agency. You don't need to hire somebody for it. Just do it yourself. And if you have a young one at home, give it to them. I'm sure they'll do a killer job. Okay. Which brings us to content in the form of videos. Videos are, of course, they've already taken over our lives. I don't know, maybe open your phone settings and take a look at screen time and take a look at TikTok, take a look at Instagram. I think you'll know what I mean. But aside from that, your audience is watching videos. Forget about what you're doing. Your audience is watching videos. There is a hierarchy in which humans consume content. Video is on the top. Of course, the first one is, one-on-one interactions, us meeting our family. That's the first way in which we prefer to get entertained or prefer to get, kind of recreational experiences. But videos followed by, just pictures, followed by audio, followed by text. That's the hierarchy people would follow. So don't rely on pictures alone. The other thing is, not only should you start with video creation and start with your phone, start with your marketing team's phones, find a way to have some strategy around it. So here's a couple of pieces of advice. Start doing DIYs or how-tos. For example, if you're selling bags, do a nice video of the bag opening up and what the pockets look like inside, etc. The pictures are not going to cut it. If you're selling t-shirts, clothing, put them on someone. It's completely fine if that video looks like it was made in a living room. As long as the resolution is high and it delivers the message of product's quality, the fundamental value prop you're trying to communicate, your job's done. If you are a slightly higher level brand, like we work with some brands that have large teams, have massive revenues, and generally about 10 to 20% of their products drive a lion's share of their revenue, 90% or more of their revenue. So the Pareto principle applies everywhere. We recommend hiring a professional video agency to push your video content even further. And once you've done that, purpose that content everywhere. Purpose that content in your emails, purpose them on your social media, your website, different pages, something different for product page, something else for homepage, something else for categories. Okay. So for example, if I'm somebody who's selling, again, fashion, on the homepage, I could have videos that people engage with. Those videos can take me to product pages, which could have explainer videos for products, and so on. The other thing that most people don't try and do is also leverage videos effectively in the form of a funnel. So the third point that we say here is a step by actually, I mean, this is a strategy of making a video, which is you could say three reasons why you should do this, and this reason one, reason two, reason three. But I have another idea, which is you could actually create a funnel with your video content. So your first video ad could be talking about the product and brand. Second one could be the founder, advocating about the story. It could be the fact that you are environment conscious or something on those lines. The third one can be trust, which is your actual customers using the product, maybe testimonials from them, anything on those lines. And this is a funnel. People who have seen the first see the second. People who have seen the second see the third. And that's how you essentially farm your customers. You farm clicks using an ad strategy like that. So think about it. I think if you put that problem in front of your agency, I'm sure they'll be happy to do that. The reason we added this point is because we were done with the responsive sites. Generally speaking, when you pick a theme, I've seen people picking Shopify or website themes or working with designers. They're all looking at it on their laptops and their computers. Forget about it. Put your laptop back in your bag when you're making decisions about how your site looks. You can look at your own analytics. That's where your traffic is. That's where you are losing customers the most. Your mobile conversion rate is inarguably at least half or even a third of your desktop conversion rate. I'm not saying you'll be able to change that. Your mobile conversion rate will probably not cross your desktop conversion rate ever, unless, of course, you built like this amazing mobile first experience, which is off the charts. But generally speaking, the bias for desktop has to go away completely. So I very strongly advise on building for ease and building your website like an app so that people find it extremely easy and they prefer, in fact, to interact with your brand on the mobile compared to on the desktop. Think about it. Micro influencers. So I think this is a very straightforward concept. The only thing is the effort has to go into discovering these influencers. I would hire a young intern, maybe, I don't know, a cousin or something on those lines, and treat them to a couple of beers, maybe a burger, and ask them to do a 4 or 5 hour job of just sitting and finding micro influencers that you can engage with. There are actually platforms that can help you do that, but they'll charge a hefty commission on the money that actually reaches the influencer. This is La Cruce. I think we all know about La Cruce, but they're especially known for going and working with smaller influencers. Like in this case, they're doing a giveaway with a vegan influencer. So I think the whole idea behind using micro influencers is that they are smaller, their audience is more engaged, and they carry a lot more trust. So somebody who has just 20,000 followers has probably more than followers as a community. And it's extremely easy to convince a community compared to influencing like a 2 million followers, extremely produced content, not that natural, not that easy to relate to. So that's obviously there. So micro influencers should be on your strategy for 2024. I think we've written a lot about this. If you've not, we'll send some content over on how you could crack your influencer strategy for e-commerce. Choose sustainability for two reasons. I'll give you the capitalistic reason first. I'll be honest, which is that people love it. People prefer brands. There's tons of data around it. There's tons of proof that people prefer brands that are sustainable, that are environment friendly. If you are a brand that sells leather bags, for example, I know you cannot do that. I know it's hard for you to claim something like that, but there are ways to still do that. So the first reason is that it's more customer friendly. Second is your kids are probably going to thank you for it. So do it. I think it's an important step every business needs to slowly take. And the easy way to do that for a brand that doesn't need to go and change their product or change the way they do things is think about packaging. You could always tell your customers that your packaging is carbon neutral. You could always talk about how you could reduce your carbon footprint of the shipping. In fact, you could ask people to choose slower shipping because it's more carbon friendly, right? In fact, you could justify slower shipping. We only do 3-day shipping because it's carbon friendly. So I'm just kind of giving you some off the top of my head sort of ideas, but these are things that brands do to make things that are not that nice to look at, nice to look at. Okay. Also, there's no harm in finding products that you can catalog that are more carbon friendly, of course, right? You could create recycling policies. You could figure out a way to ask your customers if they want to kind of send products back. Like we've seen a client run a campaign where they would collect the packaging for your previous order with the next order. So they figured it out with their shipping provider to kind of do that, and they were a high frequency product. So if that's relevant for you, you could definitely try and do that. Moving further, this is actually another interesting one. I hope this picture was bigger, but essentially what you're doing is you're inviting your customers to create with you. This is actually hard to do. In the marketing world, we call this user-generated content. The easiest way to get it done is ask customers for reviews. But in this case, the company CEO is essentially asking people to become partners and to come and design and curate products with them. If this is not possible for your brand, find what customers are already creating for you. Often for our brand, our customers are already creating content, but we fail to recognize it, right? For example, let's say again, I'll take the bag example. You sold a bag to a customer. The customer never posted about you, but you know who they are, maybe from their Instagram handle, and they're using the bag. You could give them a shout out, share them on your page. So there are many ways of doing that. I don't know how many of us are aware about the Stanley, the thermos brand. They do, thermos and mugs and that kind of stuff. And the interesting story that happened, unfortunate yet interesting. So, there was this lady who was driving. She had a Stanley thermos, a big one, and she had her iced drink in it. And for some reason, her car caught fire. So she ran for her life. The car got completely destroyed. I would recommend you look it up because it's a very recent story. The car completely got destroyed. And then what she does is she wants to, for insurance, come back and video the car as she's walking towards it. So she took her phone out and she's walking towards the car. You know what? My car got destroyed. Everything's gone. Everything is finished. She opens the car door of this completely charred car. And the Stanley thermos is standing in the middle. And she says, oh, okay. She picks it up and she can still hear the ice inside the thermos. And that video reached Stanley, the company that manufactured that thermos, and they were blown away, of course. That video went viral because Stanley's CEO then made a video saying, hey, we're extremely sorry that we lost it, but we are thrilled to see that, our product was able to survive that test. So we're going to do something for just this one time. We are probably never going to do it again. We're going to buy you a new car. Okay. So now Stanley is a larger company. I think we all know about it, but it was mind blowing, right? So that's essentially the customer creating content without the brand motivating them to create the content and the brand leveraging it in a massive way. Find a way to engage your customers in this way. If you could create a product with them, this is the example that I gave you first, but there are other ways. They're probably already using your product somewhere, posting about it. They might have good things to say about it. In fact, I have another founder friend of mine, and I was asking him, hey, what is the best way to get an NPS from your customers? I'm not able to do that. We have feedback from our customers, but we don't have NPS. So, which is net promoter score. So they said, hey, you know what? I just have somebody who comes in on Fridays, just for 6 hours, and they call customers and say, hey, I'm calling from the CEO's office. He actually wanted me to reach out to you. He's a big fan of the work you're doing. We wanted to know what you think about us. And they're able to, through that, so they're not using their customer support team, no pop-ups, no emails, nothing. They're just directly making calls and trying and reaching these people. Behind the scenes, so we did a webinar the last time talking about how brands can tie together stories. And this is probably the easiest way to do that. Talk about where your product is coming from. Even if you're sourcing it from somewhere, it's fine. It's okay. But you've got to tell people the story from which your product is originating. So whether it's the place it comes from, the material you use, the people who work on it, the choice of materials, why you did it, the reason you started the company, whatever it is. Don't tuck it away in an about us page. People love people, people follow people, and people buy from people. So the more you emphasize on your story, the more it will help you. Where to do this? I'm saying don't tuck it in the about us page. Why not your product page? It's probably the most underrated page. That's where you're driving most of your paid traffic. So do a better job of telling people a story. See how you can involve this. I think this is something you can start as early as yesterday. It's really easy, and only the founder can run this project. I'm going to tell you this straight away. If you let the marketer run this project, of course, if they're a well thought out first principles thinker, they'll be able to put together an actual story. But the founder is the one who's passionate about it, and he's probably got a good story to tell. So that's what I would prefer you do. Showcase non-profit or environment or conscious campaigns. Peak design. These people are amazing. Their products are amazing. Their bags are amazing. I love them. And an underlying reason for that is also because they are fully carbon neutral. The material design, the reason they choose, the zips they choose, the kind of products they launch, everything is 100% carbon neutral. They have published their ethos around it several times. I know it might not be possible for everyone to do this, but I feel there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to learn why they did this and how they did it. I think this is another pretty straightforward idea. If you are an omni-channel brand who has products positioned offline somewhere, figure out a way to integrate that. Very simple, very easy. In fact, brands that are omni-channel or are offline available, even if I'm shopping from New York and you have an offline store in, I don't know, Minnesota somewhere, I would still trust you more than a brand that's fully online. This is also, I'm quoting this from a research. And the reason that is because if you have an actual store, that means you are a physical entity, you are more trustworthy or real people again. So that always goes a long way. Moving on. Customer stories. So I think I've already given you the Stanley example. Birkenstock does a fantastic job. In this case, they take the example that I mentioned earlier. People are just posing or just walking on a holiday with their product, and they've created a gallery with that. So I think generally Birkenstock exchanges a 20% off coupon if you send them back a picture of yourself using their product with a nice picture, and the best ones get selected, and they are the ones who get some gift. So see if you can implement that in some way. It's some legwork, but it's worth the effort. If your website has pictures of 500 customers using your product on the homepage, real people, it creates trust like nothing else. That's the best way, most visual, direct way of creating trust. So what we are essentially doing is we are taking the previous example to the next level. In this case, Wear Pluffle, which is this dog bed, essentially asks their customer to give them a shout out, and people have created TikToks, etc. And in this case, it kind of becomes a lot more wholesome because you've got dogs in it. So of course, who doesn't love dogs? But it kind of takes it to the next level. Get actual quotes from your customers and see how you can leverage them. So if you're unable to find a lot of user-generated content, encourage them to make it in some way or form. Okay. So that's the first part. I'm going to keep going in interest of time and interest of continue to keep the intensity and speed that I have. If you have any questions or if you want me to slow down, please let me know. I'm just going to keep rolling because we're only halfway and we're exactly at half the time. So I'm just going to make sure I keep going. So now the next few examples that I have touch upon the ethos of your company as much as they are executable ideas. I feel that in a lot of in a lot of cases, businesses not with the intent of cutting corners, but they tend to not put in the effort that needs to be put in to deliver that next level experience. For example, the best, most amazing customer experience business to ever exist is Zappos. And they have this story of Zappos's founder and another person, catching up for drinks one night after a sneaker, conference of some kind. And they're in the hotel room and they say, hey, you know what? We've done such a good job with our customer support setup that I challenge you to call my customer service and ask them for anything you want. So actually, they were hungry. They were trying to order pizza, so they're not able to find any numbers. So what they did is they called Zappos customer service, said, hey, I'm here. I need to order a pizza. Can you tell me what I get? He said, they said, of course, I'm sorry, I might not be able to help you with this, but I'll see what I can do. And if I get back to you, I'll let you know. And then they disconnected the call. They said, okay, probably they're not going to be able to help us, obviously, because you're calling the customer service of an online store that sells shoes. But what that turned into is that we got a call back a minute later with the top 5 places and which ones are going to be open. And they asked if they want them to place the order as well. So that's mind blowing, right? Of course, I'm not asking you to start ordering pizzas for your customers. What I'm asking you to do is find a way to go that extra mile. Like in this case, Uniqlo, we saw that when we asked them, for some unique features of the product, they actually attached screenshots from the website, and then respond in the chat. This is actually pretty epic. I've never seen this happen. And generally speaking, the chat is really just, it's really reactive and it's not interesting. Chat can also be leveraged to kind of take people to the next step. Like in this case, chat is acting as a product discovery widget. And what essentially is happening here is you're asking the customer what you need help with instantly, and you're giving them 4 options. So you're not saying, "Hi, how can I help you?" and just disappearing with an annoying pop-up. You're giving them a next step. So this is one obviously interesting way to kind of do that. But I think the point to kind of drive home here is nudging customers, especially for products that have a lot of description, a lot to read, a lot to kind of take a look at. Your customers sometimes could go into an analysis paralysis. So you want to nudge them to take the next step, ask them if they need help. This is an interesting implementation of that. So this again takes it further, which is why should your customers only have, say, chat? In fact, very recently we reached out to a business, and when they got on a call, the person from the sales team on our end who had reached out told me that this person was extremely hard to find and reach. And I told them this. I said, "Hey, you know what? You don't have a LinkedIn profile. I couldn't find you on LinkedIn, and it was super hard for me to find you. We couldn't find any coordinates in you. We called your line and we said we want to talk to you, but nobody would. I mean, of course, that was a purely customer support line, so there was no chance of that happening. How does someone reach you? If you're the business owner and somebody has something to say about the product, do they just, and the only way to reach them, they had no address on their website, no phone number, they had no chat. The only thing they had was a very inhuman support at the abcd.com, right? So that's the only way that you could reach them. So I think oftentimes I know we are an online business, but we ignore the fact that if we were on the customer side, we would need probably more doors to get into, more ways in which we could talk to the business. So I think businesses don't kind of generally do that. In this case, you have, for example, the example you see here is, you could talk to a diamond expert, you could book an appointment, you could chat with them. If you want a repair, we can help you with that. Once you've done this, brag about it. Saying we have 24/7 customer support, we're based out of the USA or wherever you're based out of, we're always available. This is another interesting implementation for how you could give people more control. I'm going to talk a little bit about more of this in the following ideas as well, is how you can give your customers more control when they're shopping. In this case, you have a product catalog and you're running filter basis what's most important for you as a customer. I want a product that's long range versus I want something that's portable versus I want something that's probably all terrain and so on. Make discovery extremely easy, and I think most often than not it's extremely ignored. I will, for example, in the interest of ease of communication, I'll show you a quick example of a wizard that we implemented for a customer. In this case, you could go into Apple and then Apple iPhone 12 and just kind of get lost in a sea of different phone replacement parts that they do. Or you could take this primary journey, a wizard that was built out and then A/B tested rigorously. I'm looking for a screen for my Apple iPhone 13 Pro, for example, and it would take you straight to the product. This is when you are giving customer control. This is a prime example of something like that. Reassurances. I think it's underrated how important returns are and how important delivery information is. It's not repeated enough. And it's a very simple idea. Repeat it 5,000 times across your website, everywhere possible. Give people visibility on how does delivery work, how do payments work, how do returns work, what if I'm unhappy, everything that they kind of need to know. And then you could also craft your messaging around it. Like I spoke about, if you have a really slow delivery, you could defend it by saying it's more carbon friendly. If you are able to ship orders the same day, you could essentially try and push people to order the product within the working hours. So maybe run a timer and say, hey, if you order in the next 2 hours, we'll ship it the same day because we'll still be working till 5 o'clock today, right? Something on those lines. So you got to over-inform them on shipping, on delivery, on everything else. We also have, so this is another interesting implementation. I say this again, give more control to your customers. This is something that I don't remember who said it, but there's a 3 gives and 1 take rule in marketing, which is that you got to give 3 things to ask for 1 with your customer. So when brands, for example, we are a B2B company. So when we try and give, this is our way of giving, right? Free ideas. And we publish content, we reach out to people, and we even do very detailed website audits. We do website and email strategy audits. So that's our way of giving. They are free of cost. They're 30 to 40 minutes long, and they are a brutal tear down of your website or your email strategy. Okay. So we know we are good at it. So that's something we give away for free. So even, I think ConvertCart this year has done upwards of 1,500 audits in the entire year. Should be that much, I'm sure. But the bottom line is that that's your way of giving. In this case, for example, instead of just saying, "Hey, give me your email ID and I'll give you an offer or a discount," you're asking the customer. You're at least giving them a good product. I'm looking for a gift versus, I'm expecting and I'm shopping for my own baby versus I'm a parent who's shopping for my child. So at least, and this also helps you craft the experience at the next step. So there's a lot of value there. Surveys is okay. I'll just kind of put it out there. If you're not doing a survey, you don't know your customers. And the reason we say this is we run surveys for almost all of our clients. And that's one of the first things we try and implement on the website. And there's a lot of resistance each time where they say, "Hey, I don't want to run this. I don't know who's even going to fill this form." I'll tell you what happens. What happens is people who are healthy skeptics, which means people who are spending in excess of 1 or 2 minutes on your site, who truly are looking at your site, not the top of the funnel, not people who are just glancing through it. Those and people who are your true customers, people who are bottom of the funnel, who are browsing the site, 1 to 2% of that audience will fill this survey. And they will sometimes give you insights that will completely change the way you think about how you are looked at by your customers. In fact, insight is the kind of smallest, it's the atom of truth. It's the most important thing that is relevant to you as a brand. So if you are able to find these insights through doing something as simple as this, why not? Also, I think the experience essentially gets lost sometimes between doing discounts and just selling products. So it's like sell, sell, sell. It's not really, you don't really take a step towards the customer. Instead of, you just want them to take the steps towards you all the time. So this kind of turns it around upside down and tries and asks the customer, "Hey, if we could do something better, what would it be? Maybe this one is like 4 fields. I would in fact do something as simple as a single multiple choice questions." So when somebody is trying to exit, you could pop the survey up as an exit intent pop-up saying, "Hey, why is it that you decided not to shop with us today? I find the prices are too high, shipping is too expensive, couldn't find what I liked, not sure about the specifications, did not understand the product," etc. Whatever options are relevant to the business you are in. Craft the survey well, but definitely do it. Create gift cards for everyone. So gift cards are extremely underrated. I think if you are from the US, you know how gift cards are part of everyday life. This was an amazing example we really liked, which is a gift card in Braille. I think that's another thing that, of course, you've got to be inclusive. You can't leave any part of the society out. With that said, you've got to take a look at your ADA compliance. If you're not, think about this. 2024 could be the year where you make sure that happens before they come and tell you that you need to be ADA compliant, fine you for it, file a complaint. There's a long story there. I'm not going to get into the ADA business, but that's one step towards it. But with gift cards, you could actually theme your gift cards to make them more relevant to who you're giving them to. This is one such example, which of course looks extremely wholesome. Emails. I have 5 more points. I guarantee you that the way you think about emails will change. If they don't, I don't know. I don't know what the guarantee is. We'll anyways give you the free audit. So if you're going to do a free tear down of your emails, we're going to do a free tear down of your website, and we'll walk you through everything that's good. In fact, we'll also do a tear down of your Google Analytics if that's needed. We'll have an analyst sit down, take a look at the data, and tell you why you lose customers and where. This is my guarantee. Let's get into emails. So the reason I'll tell you why I'm also speaking so passionately about this is because generally speaking, emails are this. If you have a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. That's what people are doing with emails. If you have an email product, if you have an email marketing software, every inbox looks like a place you could spam. So it's kind of insensitive sometimes because all of the emails are generally not, people generally skip through the long stuff, the long text. Even if you're writing like a nice story inside of it, people are probably going to skip it, even unless you do it specifically for the story. Anyways, let me show you the examples I have and maybe we're able to change it. The first example is forget about selling for a second. Just engage and educate your customers. If you have a product and it has three things you feel you want everyone to feel about your product, just do that. You don't even need a CTA on that email. The email itself could be a CTA for sure. You can allow people to click, but you could just talk about it. I spoke about how you could be more environment get conscious and so on. Why not just communicate that in a gentle way to your entire customer base? Just take a moment and send an email. First, you know what? Here's the new year resolution my brand is taking. Here's what I'm doing. It could be anything. It could be, we are going to deliver every order on time from next time. It could be anything, right? But at least communicate something that's not asking customers for something. It's giving them something that would really elevate the experience. Gamify. Now, the reason I think we added this example, the spin the wheel, is because everybody hates them. Every time I've spoken to an e-commerce founder about a spin the wheel, they've said, okay, I hate this. I'm not on Alibaba.com. I'm not going to do a spin wheel. But look at how well this is designed. It is almost, it's too hard not to spin. And I think that's the thing about spin the wheels. Generally, pop-up opt-in rates range between 2 to 4%, 5% if you're lucky. With the kind of pop-ups that I've seen, and I mean, I don't want to plug, but with the kind of hours we are doing for our customers, we see generally between 7 and 15% of the new traffic that you're getting. So you can really take your pop-ups to the next level, but also with your emails, you could gamify your emails. Why are you only limiting the spin the wheels to your site experience, etc.? You could gamify your email itself. Completely turn it upside down. Forget about adding products to it. Just try and engage with your list. Just try and this is your owned asset, right? You don't need to pay a Google or a Facebook to reach the 10, 50, 100, 200,000 people you have in your email list. You can reach out to them without a doubt, without justifying it to anybody. And that's why you've got to make it even more meaningful because these people want to hear from you. So you've got to spend that effort in making sure that you hear from them. Make shoppers feel special. The next two ideas are about this. In this case, Allbirds thanked their customers when they reached 1 million. And that's kind of interesting. Not a lot of brands do things like this. They had a phenomenal open rate here. And this makes you feel like you're still a community. I'm sure a lot of the people joining us are in the first $5 million revenue range. Some of us are higher. I know the kind of people that are joining, so I can tell you that for sure. But you can be a community that's Patagonia, for example, is a brand that is still a community in some sense, right? And we all know that it's a great brand, a great product. But when you're buying Patagonia, you know what you're buying, really speaking. This kind of communication handles that for you. So you've got to craft messaging around it, and I think that it's a strong way to position yourself. This is probably the nicest email I've seen in a long time, and so we wanted to show you this. I don't know if anybody here would have ever thought of doing an email that looks like this for their business. I'm sure if you've already seen something like this, congratulations, but I'm guaranteeing you that I'm guessing your way of thinking about emails changes with this. Really simple, right? And you would definitely click on it. So the designer did a good job on this. The strategist did a good job on this. And it delivers the most important thing an email should deliver, which is curiosity. So what happens? Hey, you look good. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. And I'm sure everybody will click on this. You would just get curious and say, hey, what's really happening? Let me just see what's happening. Yeah. And the subject line for this was just a reminder. So the chances of people opening is really, really high. That's actually a pro tip. Subject lines of anywhere between 2 to 3 words, which means either 2 words or 3 words, are significantly more successful than those really long subject lines your agency is writing with 5 emojis at the end of it. And those are not going to work as well. And this is the final idea, final email idea. Your people overuse shop now, add to cart, buy now sort of buttons. Here's an interesting way to do CTAs in an email. You're just one click away to fetching a monthly box of goodies. Select what kind of dog you have. Is it 0 to 20 pounds, 20, 50, 50 plus? Very interesting, right? So you're not saying go and see the collection, see the goodies that you can buy, see the boxes you can buy. You're picking the dog you have. You would almost and look at the dogs. They look amazing. So you would intuitively want to click on any one of those dogs, and you would you instantly start thinking. So I have a big and bold one. I would definitely click on that big guy there, and I would just want to kind of go and see what they're talking about, right? So I really hope that I've changed the way you want to approach 2024. Before I take questions, I just want to let you know that the whole goal of this is to get you into the AOP mode, the annual operating plan, put something in place, set some goals, set some milestones. I really hope 2024 is super exciting. I'm happy to take questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm happy to gift back about 10 minutes back to all of you. So chat still works. And I think I have a couple of people sending me direct messages. I'll just reply. Okay. I think the content was pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, there you go. What chat or email tools do you suggest companies use? There's a business. So, I mean, emails, engage by convert card is extremely powerful. We guarantee you will see 35% of your revenue purely from emails within the first 3 months. So happy to talk to you. We'll reach out and just take a look. For chat, there's another one called I think it's called Persuade. I'll just ping you the name of the company, and I'll be in touch about that, Andrew. Wonderful insights. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rolf. Thanks for joining us. All right, folks, I don't see any more questions. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing 2024. And okay, there's another one in Q&A. Just a second. Slow delivery is not really a thing in the market. How do we say that we get delayed? That's true. You've got to be able to. So I'll tell you what, that you've got to stop looking at it as slow delivery. I'm happy to take a look at the kind of products you're doing. I'll give you a kind of a really interesting idea. So if you're a product that is generally handmade, or if you are somebody who goes out of stock a lot, actually we did this for a brand. What we did is they had products that go out of stock a lot, and we did something really simple. We never let them go out of stock, but on the website. What we just kept changing the messaging basis the stock. So if they were low on stock, or if they run out of stock, we said, hey, we're still taking orders, but the orders are taking slightly longer to fulfill because of excessive demand or extremely high demand, right? So you've attacked social proof, you've not gone out of stock, so you're not stopped taking orders, and you're making yourself look good. Okay, there you go. I think that's because of this, the balloons. So I'm just saying that it's not a problem of whether your delivery is slow, but the messaging is really what will change the game for you. So I'm happy to take a look at your site. I'm happy to suggest something that's relevant to you, and I won't charge for it, for sure. Should I offer free shipping on my Shopify so that I can actually compete with Amazon FBA? If you can afford it. If you can afford free shipping, always do it. There's nothing more delightful than that. I would give you an even better insight. Don't just do free shipping, do a free shipping coupon so that people who find the coupon can avail it. People who are anyways gonna be paying for shipping, they're happy to pay for shipping, let them pay for it. It's completely fine. We did a experiment with a client where in their cart, if somebody's trying to exit the cart, we would do a pop-up saying, hey, why are you leaving? Here's a 50% off on shipping. So we would just not let them leave. And that insight came from a survey we ran on the cart where we said, hey, why are you leaving? Please choose a reason. Everybody said, okay, I'm not going to pay. They were selling magazines. So they said, I'm not going to pay, $3 to get a $9 magazine delivered. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to go down to the magazine stand and buy it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rolf. By the way, the reasons you cannot see the questions because every time somebody is typing these in, they're marking host and panelist only. So only I'm able to see the questions in the chat. So I request you to please pick everyone when you're starting the chat. Okay, folks, I think I really hope I was able to add value. That's most important. I hope you're able to take at least two things away from this and implement in 2024. And I really hope you double, maybe triple your business in 2024. If we can play any role in it, we would love to. We know what we are good at. We are amazing with conversion rate optimization and email marketing. So just let us know. We'll do the tear downs for you. And we're more than happy to uh, go in as much detail as you'd like. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day, afternoon, evening, and have a fantastic New Year. Merry Christmas.